What's up, guys? Tim Little, Matt Allen. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today's video, we have another buyer's guide for you. Today, we are talking jerkbaits.
Jerkbaits are another one of these categories that is giant. And unfortunately, a lot of them are pricey. So you can really go broke trying to figure out how to be a good jerkbait fisherman. The good news about this category is that despite there being tons of baits, you can actually do it really well with a very small handful. And we're gonna show you what I mean in a second. We've got
Quite a few.
like 15 baits sitting here, but you don't need them all. We're going to show you how to select certain baits for certain things so you can do it basically on a budget with a handful of baits and you're set. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, the jerkbait category is huge. I mean, there's all different types of sizes and depths, and
every brand has three.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we're gonna try and simplify it. Now we have full in-depth seminars on just this.
Yep.
So we'll link that down below in the video description. But we're gonna try and keep it shorter, just to kind of narrow it down and not go too long-winded, because it could be an hour-long video. But jerkbaits.
Basically 4 styles, right?
Yep.
Or at least today, 4 styles.
Yeah, 4 styles.
The more subtle baits, the aggressive baits, or baits that have a ton of flash, we'll call that one. Budget and oversized, big ones. Sorry, go for it.
You're good. So we're going to start off with probably the staple, the #1 bait in the entire category that everybody else tries to compare to is going to be the Megabass Vision 110. Mm-hmm. Now, where you go from there is, it totally depends on your bait size, right? So if you don't know, go with the 110. Mm-hmm. If you got smaller bait, you're going to go with the 110 Junior. See, 2 different sizes. If your fish are deeper, you're going to go with the 110 plus 1, lot deeper running jerkbait, and then the 110 Junior or plus 1, right?
Yep.
So real easy, 2 different baits. That is a bait that everybody should have.
Yeah. So this is what I mean. Tim's got 4 baits for you, but you really need 1, maybe 2 of them.
Right.
Right, and that is the staple. So you match bait size. How big are the bait that the bass are spitting up on your boat?
Right.
How big are the bait that you see in the water? When they chase them in the fall, how big are they? Get the big one or the little one.
Yeah, and if you just need 1, just go with the 110. And then you can branch out from there. If you need to go deeper, go with the 110 plus 1. If you need a smaller bait, go with that 110 Junior.
Yep. Now, just as an alternative, Rapala has the Shadow Wrap. Same exact deal in that there is a shallow and a deep version. And again, all we're talking about is, are they in the back of a pocket up shallow, or are they out on points?
Right.
Shallow, out deeper. The biggest difference between these baits, I mean, there are a bunch of differences, but the one that matters to you as you're trying to select a bait is that the Shadow Wrap is a slow sinker on purpose. So if you're going to fish a little bit deeper, essentially between categories, you can count a Shadow Wrap down. Make sense? It's really that simple. And with that, we'll wrap up the main subtle portion of jerkbait fishing. It's not that hard.
So now we're going to talk about aggressive baits.
The fun stuff.
So jerkbait fishing, it's all about your cadence, water temp. There's a lot of, again, we're trying to simplify it. So
that's for a different day.
Different video. We're going to talk about the Lucky Craft. That is the pointer. Now, what sets this bait aside from the other ones, if you like throwing the lipless crank, the LV500.
Springtime, doing your thing.
Yep, fall. This bait sounds identical to, it's got the same sound chamber as the LV500. So real aggressive, real loud. That bait right there is a winner.
So you're out on your lake. Have your fish crushed? We've talked about an LV for what, 10 years?
Yep.
If your fish have responded and you crack them on the LV,
they'll eat that.
You should probably add a pointer.
Yeah.
If you have no idea what we're talking about, or if the LV just didn't seem to jive with your fishing style, scratch that one.
Right.
It's really, it's that easy.
Out of all these, it's just loud. It's that loud jerkbait. So that's what sets it apart.
This is my favorite of the aggressive, flashy jerkbaits. We're allowed to have a favorite, right? That's my favorite. Jackal Re-Range. Now, same deal, standard, and the MR, the medium runner. Only difference is the size of the lip. Okay, the body is identical. That Re-Range 110 is an unbelievable bait when it comes to throwing light out in the water. When this bait rolls, the amount of flash that it sends out is unlike any other bait, and the fish respond to it really well. When water temps are dropping, I lean most of the time to a Vision 110. When water temps are rising, I lean to that Re-Range. It's just a perfect 1-2 punch.
Yeah, you guys are probably sitting there trying to take notes and stuff. We're going to link everything down below in the video description. We'll do colors and all that stuff, but we're trying to keep it as simplified as possible, as simple for you as possible. Just trying to break down the categories, you know, talking about aggressive baits. This is the Rapala Ripstop. This is about as aggressive of a bait as you can get. I mean, you hit this thing hard. Now, when we first started playing around with this underwater, it took us a long time to figure out where this bait really shined. And it's, I mean, if you have some aggression, you have a good chiropractor, this is the bait that you want to throw. You know, you get out there and you're just hitting this thing almost as hard as you can.
Yep,
and it's got this little kicker tail on the and it thing just stops, right? So just real aggressive, real hard pulls. That guy right there, that Rapala Ripstop, is a very, very aggressive jerkbait.
I've got one more unique one for you. This is the Damiki Slim Jack. We talked about this guy earlier this fall. I have literally one time that I throw this bait, but in that one time, it is the only bait like it. This bait wants to rise, and it wants to do this nose up rise. I don't like that in a jerkbait. Just flat out, I don't like that in a jerkbait. But what I like about this bait is it fishes shallow. Less than 1.5 feet of water. When bass get up and push bait up shallow, and you need to get in there, this bait will go where no other bait will go. Flat out. It will fish shallower than all the others. Because of how it rises, honestly, that's irrelevant to me because of how I fish it. The way I fish it is super fast. Short pauses. Super fast. And as a result, it never does rise. It's up there in 1 foot of water, just cutting and darting and popping and rolling and getting a reaction from a fish that I can't reach with any other jerkbait. And for that, that bait is perfect.
Yep. It's fitting that the wind's blowing behind us because that's when you really know you should be throwing a jerkbait.
That's true.
Those wind-blown points. I'm going to talk about oversized jerkbaits. And you kind of talked about your two favorites before. You said the 110 and the Re-Range. Same thing in the oversized. This is the 110 Max LBO. Yep. It's just if you have bigger bait fish, if you have gizzard shad versus threadfin, you know, something like that.
Yeah, it's the same as going smaller, right?
If you have bigger bait fish, throw a bigger jerkbait. Same thing with the Re-Range. That's the 130. So if you're trying, it's just bigger. You gotta throw it on a little larger rod, a little heavier line, but same thing. It's just upscaling your bait, and that's all it really is. Really trying to simplify it for you guys.
Last but not least, I have one budget bait for you, okay? And it's taken me a long time to find a budget jerkbait I was willing to talk about. Because usually budget in the jerkbait world means it's not going to work right.
Cheap. They fill with water. They don't last.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the 13 Whippersnapper. Two different sizes. The one that I throw the most is actually the little micro guy. But the Whippersnapper is a totally affordable budget bait. It's a deeper diving jerkbait, but it's got a ton of roll and really, really good movement. It's got some rise to it. Again, it is a budget bait. But for the price, if a guy just wants to try jerkbait fishing, go out there, fish it aggressively. It's got a great dart, a great action, and I've been very impressed with that.
Since we're talking about budget, I'll talk about budget rod for a jerkbait. If you want a technique specific, a jerkbait rod This is the St. Croix Bass X. This is a 6'8" medium power, extra fast. Now that extra fast can be a little misleading just because it is St. Croix. They're typically a little bit slower than other brands, but 6'8". So typically you need a little bit shorter rod. When you're down up on the boat or wherever, you're working that rod tip down. You don't need a 7 foot or a 7'2", 7'4", because you're just
beating the water.
Slapping the water. But the Bass X line is a great line in that budget price point, paired up with that SLX, either braid 2 liter, typically fluoro if you're throwing clear water. Go with that fluorocarbon line. But that Bass X, that 6'8", is kind of that 6'8", 6'10" is really that perfect size for throwing a jerkbait.
Yep. With that, you said perfect, so I'm not gonna go budget whatsoever. I'm gonna go perfect. If I could only have, and anybody who's ever watched us talk about jerkbaits knows what I'm about to say. If I could only have one rod, price irrelevant, there are more expensive rods, there are less expensive rods. I think that this rod outshines all of them. This is the Shimano X-Pride 610 medium. It is the best jerkbait rod at any price that I've ever found. It is a remarkable rod. A jerkbait, seemingly simple bait, is one of the hardest lures in bass fishing to get a proper rod for. The reason why is it takes a very crisp rod to get the movement out of the bait. Sharp, hard movements. It also takes a very soft, limber rod to not have a big fish completely destroy your little tiny hooks. That is a hard combination. The 610 medium does an incredible job. My personal rods, it's paired up to an Aldebaran. That's a high-end reel. I fish it with either 10 or 12 pounds straight fluorocarbon the vast majority of the time. Now with that said, you can almost always not get this rod. It's almost always sold out. We'll link it in the video description. We'll link all these baits in the order that they appear, along with our favorite colors for every single one. Same with the rods, in the order they appeared. Check it. If it's there, that is awesome.
Yeah, get it while you can.
But a lot of times it's not there. Shimano redid their Corrado line recently. There's a 610 medium in that lineup as well that I have been very impressed with for the price. It is still not an X-Pride, but it's a fantastic option. And that guy, paired up with the Corrado 70, it's less money on the rod and less money on the reel, and it is a very, very capable jerkbait setup and definitely worth the time. So there's an alternative for you.
Yeah, guys, there it is. That is a jerkbait buyer's guide. We know that this category can be overwhelming. There's hundreds of baits in the category. So if you're looking to get into jerkbait fishing and you need a video to show your loved ones, to share with your loved ones so they get you the right product this time of the year during the holiday sale, this is it. We will link, like Matt said, we'll link all these products down below in the video description, give you our favorite colors and everything. But yeah, we tried to simplify it as easy as possible for you guys.
I think we did it.
Don't be overwhelmed. Yeah, don't be overwhelmed. Jerkbait fishing isn't that tough as long as you get the key baits. You know your fishery, the depth, what you need to be, the bait fish size, that sort of stuff. Go out there, get this gear, and you guys will have success.
You can flat pound them on a jerkbait. It's fun. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.